Good morning, everybody. It's a dog in the kennel. Yes, it's another edition of Weber This Week here in the Finger Lakes. It's a beautiful Monday morning, the 16th of November. Hard to believe I was telling my guests it's a week from Thursday, big holiday. Thanksgiving's coming soon. Good morning, everybody. It's great to have you with you. I hope you all had a nice weekend. And as we always try to do, we bring in interesting guests. And a gentleman who I've had in the show before, a guy that supports us big time with sports and a whole lot of other things. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Menzo Case. Menzo, the president of the Generations Bank. Thanks for coming in, Menzo.
Hey, it's good to be here, Doug. It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce Katie MacIntyre. Of course, Katie, the marketing officer of the Generations Bank. Katie, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I met you at the studio at the bank when you first got hired, I believe, some time ago.
We did. We met right on Cayuga Street.
And we exchanged cards, and it's good to have you here and finally got you on the air. So, Katie, as we always would do with our guests, anytime somebody comes in, tell us a little bit about yourself, flashback to where you were born, where you went to school, and how you hooked up with Menzo's operation.
Sure. So I am not from Central New York originally. I grew up in New England, and my family still lives in New Hampshire. They're still hoping I come back home, but I've lived away from there much longer than I lived there. So I came to Central New York in 2005 for the first time. I worked for an international glass company and moved all around the Northeast. Mm-hmm. And one stop was Auburn, New York, and I really fell in love with Finger Lakes. Went to live in D.C. for 5 years and then had the chance to come back and met Menzo about a year ago. So yeah. I've been working for Generations for just about a year.
And now your title, marketing officer, give us an overview for the viewers that may not know what that encompasses day to day. What is the role? What is your charge as far as working there? What do you actually do day to day?
Well, every day is different.
Okay.
For sure. But I work directly with our board and our senior management team on developing the strategies for getting the Generations Bank name and products out to our community and helping meet the needs for banking for all of our customers. And then I also work on different projects with Menzo really to support the communities that we serve. And those are things like what we're going to talk about today at the 19K, which is really fun. But we were at a party for Elizabeth Cady Stanton just last week. She turned 200. So a lot of things to help the community celebrate all of the great things that are here in Seneca Falls and in the communities we serve.
Well, we do live in a hotbed, something that I, as a citizen of this community for many, many years, I spent 5 years in Geneva after getting married, and most of my life I've been a Seneca Falls guy. And I was telling Menzo last time he was on my show, I never really appreciated the significance, not that I didn't know that this was home of women's rights, but when you see buses pull up and Chinese and Japanese come out and they look around, they're going through tours, it's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. We really I don't know. I now appreciate it much more than I did, but it's pretty significant of what this town of Seneca Falls, Menzo, really means to people.
Yeah, it's surprising. I just went to a bed and breakfast outside the region just this past weekend, and I was talking to the owner, and I just mentioned Seneca Falls, and immediately her response is, that's one of my bucket list to visit is Seneca Falls, women's rights. And she said it must be an amazing town. I've just not been able to stop there. We have much to offer to our area in terms of history, and in terms of the impact that some small group of men and women had in 1848 on the entire world. And we just don't do enough to tell the story. And I think we're starting to understand that, and people are starting to come just for that purpose.
It is pretty amazing, and that's a good segue to Seneca Falls, what it means. I'll tell you a quick story. Years ago, my brother Ronnie lives in Augusta, Georgia, still has been there many, many years. Not a golfer. He's 5 minutes from Augusta National, one of the more celebrated golf courses in the world, the home of the Masters every April. And I had to work for WSFW Radio, doing radio, obviously, via not this type of work, where there's cameras, but I had always had ambition to get tickets, press credentials for the Masters. And here I am in Seneca Falls, New York, a sportscaster broadcasting every morning for the Finger Lakes region. And I thought, it's worth a shot. So I'll call up and talk to the lady. And let's say it was Katie who was handling the media request. And the Masters, as we all know, is probably the premier golf tournament in the world every year in April. And Katie answers the phone, and she's real busy because there's got all these requests from Japan, Australia for people that want to come via press credentials. She said, "Who are you?" I said, "Harold Weber, Seneca Falls, New York." She goes, "Sir, I'm sorry to hurt your feelings," she said, "but there's about 455 requests ahead of you for credentials. We're only going to take the next 100. Right. I went, "Well, my odds don't look too good." And she was about ready to hang up the phone because she was busy. I could hear the phones ringing in the background. And this is a true story. And I said, 1978, I made that call. I said, "Well," I said, "you gotta, let me explain my story. I live in a great town, village." She goes, "Where's that?" "Seneca Falls, New York." She goes, "Seneca Falls? That's the home of women's rights." True story. And I went, "Yeah." I said, "If you and your husband, you're married?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "If you and your husband come up, I'll show you around, give you all the tours." She goes, "Mr. Weber, I can't promise you any of these credentials." She says, "But I'll put you on the list." And I was at Gould's Pumps in customer service, overseeing the customer service of our water systems group on Baird Street. And I said to my secretary, "If you ever get a call from Augusta, Georgia, whether I'm in a meeting with the president, I want you to knock on the door and get me out of there." 3.5 weeks later, the phone call comes in, and she says, "There's a lady on the phone from Augusta, Georgia." True story. Got credentials for the 2 straight tournaments. I got sick. I never renewed my credentials, and I went for 2 straight years, 7 days, free passes, free parking. And the reason was she was in a women's suffrage group in Augusta, and she connected the dots, and that's how I got to Augusta.
Amazing.
True story, and that's amazing. So, we think we live in this vacuum. There are people literally that, as you mentioned with the B&B story, Seneca Falls is world renowned. And think about it. A lot of people remember and know that this town now is what it's all about.
Right, and we're trying to get some more press on this because it's important for our community. It's important for the Finger Lakes. The Finger Lakes, Harriet Tubman's just down the road in Auburn.
Right.
Waterloo has the McClintock House. There's important historical events that took place right here, and we're the ones that don't know it.
Right.
And we need to capitalize on it, frankly, because it needs to be told. The story needs to be told. That's why, particularly when Katie came, we were able to step forward and say, "Why don't we put this 19K on?" I've been talking about it for about a year now, and we've been able to really get some groundwork done, and it's going to happen. Women's right to run is going to happen, and it's May 7th, this coming May 7th, 2016. I know that's a day that's dear to you.
Hey, my 50th wedding anniversary with my lovable wife, Mary, if she's checking out the show this morning. Yeah, that's weird, May 7th, and looking forward to that, plus also our 50th wedding anniversary.
You guys can run the 19K together.
No, maybe we could walk it, but, But
that
anyways.
would be very romantic.
Oh, yes, it would
Wouldn't that be nice? Well, we've got a 5K too, so
Okay.
a little bit less strenuous.
That's right.
And it's going to be an exciting day. It really is. We've got Catherine Switzer as our public spokesperson, and we've got quite a group working around it. What was that lady in Geneva that's helping us out?
We have Jenna Ridding and Nicole DeBloom.
Yeah, so they're going to be helping us out organize the events around it. I think it's this month or next. It depends on when we can get the SFBA. We'd like to talk to them about what they're going to be able to do and work in some events to tee off together. The National Park is interested. The Women's Hall of Fame, of course, is the beneficiary.
Sure.
They're very interested. So we've got some good action. Fleet Feet out of Rochester is actually going to run the race, all the background, all that registration. And
Right.
It's pretty exciting.
Katie, you brought a little flyer here with us.
I brought some of our posters. So
Why don't you hold it up to the camera, and there you go.
Let's see
Jimmy
here.
can zero in on that. There you go. Neat.
So we've
Yep.
been working with the Martin Group out of Rochester and Buffalo, and they helped us make these posters. So they're vintage photography that was available from the Library of Congress, and then we had a photo shoot for some modern color and people, and it's all old suffrage photos.
Well, I think, without, since Menzo and myself are friends, and I respect the work that he does and the fact that I am always endeared and I'm always thankful for the support you give, not only this 19K tying into the 19th Amendment, et cetera, But Menzo, I don't think you get enough credit for all that you and your staff does for other things. Habitat for Humanity, an ongoing favorite of yours.
Yeah.
Putting people in homes that can't afford them, that you go out and help, you and the committee help. That's ongoing. What you do for the Wonderful Life, which will be taking place next month. You have the 10 up, you have all kinds of ceremonies involving engaging people from across the land and around the world that come to Seneca Falls. It's a big event. And,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, countless things that you're involved in. And, you know, not because you're on my show this morning, but you guys at Generations Bank, led by you, certainly, if you weren't in favor of doing all this stuff, it wouldn't get done, I'm sure. But talk a little bit about the reason you're involved in so many things that help people out.
Well, it goes back to the heritage that we've inherited through our corporation. We're from here. We're the last one. We're the last Seneca County bank. And frankly, as we lose our financial institutions that were brought up in the 1800s, we start to lose focus. Our board is strongly committed to supporting the things that matter, the things that really count, and it's really, we work where we live, so we're naturally involved in our communities, and this is just a natural outreach. Habitat for Humanity, our families just need a handout. They don't need a handout.
Mm-hmm.
They work with us. They build their homes, and then they pay for their homes.
Mm-hmm.
What's better than going into a neighborhood and taking a dilapidated mess,
Mm-hmm.
a dumpy old house,
Mm-hmm.
fixing it up with a family, and then getting it back on the tax roll so they're paying. There's nothing better.
No.
And getting the whole community to participate. I mean, we've got a lot of volunteers. I gotta do a shout out for NYCC.
Mm-hmm.
Their students are a big part of our success in Habitat for Humanity.
Mm-hmm.
They're there just about every weekend. We've got at least one or two, or maybe even up to 15, 20 of them on site working and really involved, and a lot of repeats, a lot coming back. We also strongly support DARE. We've got to keep the kids off drugs. And with the news that I've heard lately, the heroin addict and the heroin epidemic, we've got to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that it doesn't make sense to let this continue without bringing people, their students, parents, educators, police officers, just the general public, and getting them together, talk about this problem, identify it, and then try to figure out a solution, because these kids need something better. And there's plenty out there. And we've got I'm just trying to think of the things. The American Cancer Tournament is a big deal for us.
Sure.
There's something that everybody is affected. Just in the past few weeks, we've seen 3 people with brain cancer. It's just out of the blue.
Yeah.
And we're more than happy to support these families, and through the American Cancer Society and through our efforts there. So why do we do it? Because this is our community. This is what matters. And we just got to be involved. There's just no other way to do it.
And Menzo's involved in a lot of other things, including the world of sports. Speaking of the NYCC, we'll talk about him being the lead sponsor of what we are calling the most sought after and the most unbelievable attack on high school basketball this year. 25-game slate starts a week from Saturday. And Menzo and Generations Bank is once again our title sponsor for all of our coverage. We'll get to that after we take this commercial break. This is Weber This Week. Menzo Case, Katie MacIntyre in the house. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Cicino's. Live, laugh, eat well. It's the Italian way. It's also the Cicino's way. Place your order today at Cicinos.com. Locations, Main Street, Waterloo, and 401 Exchange Street in Geneva. The Good Hotel welcomes you to come out and enjoy the revitalization of this historical landmark. Wednesdays, don't forget Ladies' Night with special price drinks and half-priced appetizers. Tap is Thursday, and their chef serves a dinner special every night. The Gould Hotel in Seneca Falls. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com, awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in Central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com. Seneca Falls, Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. Katie MacIntyre, along with Menzo Case from the Generations Bank, joining us this morning on the Weber Show. Hope you all had a great weekend, everybody. Looking forward to a nice week weather-wise. Hope you get out and enjoy it. And again, if I forget to say at the end of the show, I hope you, from the Weber family, have a great, great holiday season. I was telling Menzo and Katie before we went on air this morning, I'm getting a little Christmas music in my ears when I turn my radio on, so I know we're getting ready for the big day. It's pretty amazing. Katie, before we get to a few sports tidbits, tell us about, to our viewers, how would they sign up to operate and run in the 19K? How does that happen?
Sure. Well, registration is open. We have people signing up already.
Okay.
We are expecting 4,000 runners.
Wow.
So I would encourage people to sign up soon. And you can do that on the race sign up. There's a link from our website, which is righttorun19k.org. And that will take you right through the registration process. It's nice and easy.
Very good. Menzo's done a lot, and the bank has done a lot, but as far as myself being a sports guy, I appreciate, and so does Jimmy, his ability to sponsor sports activities, and notwithstanding his ability to sponsor us as a lead sponsor for our webcasting of high school basketball, which is, Menzo talked about, it's the community side of it, a lot of local teams. Jim has put together a 25-game. He'll be probably, Jimmy, running the schedule, right, Jimmy? You get those schedules ready to go in another couple of weeks, getting them distributed, in the window scenario.
Printing the schedule, yeah. They're at the printer.
25 games we're going to be covering, and we start off with a 4-game four-bagger at New York Chiropractic College a week from this Saturday. Rhett Taccone down there, our good friend, does a great job of hosting these area schools. We'll be there not to broadcast 1, 2, or 3. We're going to do them all. We're going to start at 1 o'clock. Believe it or not, it's a long day at the college. We're going to do the first game. It'll be Southern Cayuga versus South Seneca. Again, these are the opening games for these high school teams. South Seneca versus Southern Cayuga. That game tips off at 1 o'clock. The second game at 3 o'clock will be Geneva High versus North Rolls Wolcott. Then a little bit of a break, and then at 5 o'clock, it's 5:30. It'll be Lions versus Mid Lakes, and then to top it off, the last game of the night or day, Minders Academy versus Clyde Savannah. 4 games at the New York Chiropractic College. Our title sponsor, our lead sponsor, Generations Bank. I'll be calling the play-by-play in games 1 and 2. And Jimmy Senecropi will be covering the play-by-play in games 3 and 4. I'll be joined by Matt Verkey, Mike Alessio as commentators. He's got the Hunt brothers doing cameras, and the equipment that you see at these webcasts is second to none. But again, Menzo, thank you for your support again. Without you, this, of course, would not be obviously practical.
Oh, well, we love it.
So we're looking forward to it.
It's our kids,
That's right. And by the way, it makes me feel good being an old-time sports guy, having worked on radio. When people would comment about they heard the game last night, that was nice. Thank you very much. Did you like it? Yep, we did. But what's beautiful about what Jim has done, and I know he's easygoing guy, but he's got all these cameras, he's got all these headsets and equipment and microphones. You got to see the setup that he brings into these area gyms. It's going to be second to none at the college. So he's put a lot of resources into making this good. What I like about it is you're sitting at Parker's, like I did a year ago after a broadcast that I had done, and some lady comes up to you and says, "Are you Harold Weber?" And I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm going to get arrested. And she goes, "I just want to comment that my nephew saw the game tonight from Phoenix." Pretty neat,
Isn't that excellent?
And it's the website, it's the internet. You can check it out anywhere, literally in the world, if you click on it. It's pretty neat. And this is what we offer you: a 25-game slate, not including sectionals. We started off a week from Saturday, 4 games at the New York Chiropractic College. And again, let me run down the games that we're going to have. 1 o'clock, we tip it off: South Seneca versus Southern Cayuga, Geneva versus North Rolls Wolcott, and of course, the game 3 will be Lions versus Mid Lakes. And then we wrap it up with our homestanding Minders Academy Blue Devils against the likes of my old favorite stomping ground, the Clyde Savannah Golden Eagles. As far as other sports tidbits before we get back to Menzo and Katie, a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion about SU football, the Scott Schaefer carousel keeps spinning. What will happen? They played hard. Give them credit. They played hard against Clemson. Clemson up 14-0 before you had to put – I love the comment on one of the broadcasters before you put the mustard on the hot dog. You were up getting a hot dog. You turn around, you're down 14-0. Pretty amazing.
Heartbreaking.
Give Syracuse credit. They scrapped back, got it to 14-all. A couple of things here and there could have swung that game right down to the wire. Give Syracuse credit. I would be the first to admit that. The issue is they won the first 3. They've lost 7 straight. Close. Horseshoes, grenades, The problem is there's certain people that want him to stay. See, I even got a message. Certain people that want him to stay, and there's certain people that want him to go. We'll see what happens. Of course, this week they got North Carolina State down in Raleigh, and then they wrap up the regular season where Menzo and his son will be at the BC game. And I'm looking forward to seeing you. You should be having fun down there.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to it. We're going to be on the sidelines. And
That's right.
Neither Zach or I are really know what to expect. But we're going to have a good time.
I know you are.
SU is a great college. And
Yeah.
we're lucky to have something like that.
Exactly.
Again, right here in the Finger Lakes region.
And
just
exactly
a few
right.
minutes away.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, Katie, as you look as your job as the marketing officer, look at job to get the word out on Generations Bank. And it's hard not to see the Generations Bank symbols. You see the signs. You see the radio advertising, TV advertising. I mean, you seem like you're engaged quite a bit with publicizing what Menzo and the banks do. And you're just trying to foster that and continue that, correct? As far as making it aware of people, they have an alternative to come.
Absolutely. And
That's
I
the
think
key.
it's we focused this past year on telling our story a little bit more than we have in the past. I think we've had a good story since 1870, so we just want to make sure that people know that we're here, we're in the community, we're committed to it because we live and work and spend a lot of time here. So it's important for us as employees and as customers and as people of the community to make sure that
It's got to be fun too to do so many different things.
Yep.
One day you're coordinating a statue unveiling. The next day you're trying to promote a 19K run and organize that. So it's challenging and probably exciting to come to work every day.
it really is. It's
We
know,
like to keep them guessing.
I told Menzo, I was telling you before, I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary at the bank, and I told him the other day, I really had no idea when you hired me that I would be working on so many fun and interesting and really important, exciting things. So,
Yeah, the
No
statue
complaints.
that was just a lark. Audrey, I got to say her name right, Wiki.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that actually came up with the design and everything. And it just so happens that Katie knows her pretty well. And it just worked out. Brad Jones, I know you know him.
Sure.
He knows her pretty well. They used to work together. And to do something like that, really, it's so important that we get more of those. We have things in Seneca Falls that we should be proud of. Besides women's suffrage, we had a fire truck company here. I mean, it was one of the first and biggest in the nation. ITT Goulds Pump. We should commemorate these things and get people on these trails, because that's what they're doing. They come to walk on these trails, run on these trails, ride on these trails, and then they stay, and then, frankly, some move here. And that's what it's really all about. And what if Lago does come through?
Yep.
There are 13 million visitors that are going to come through.
Amazing.
Are we prepared in Seneca Falls, Waterloo, Geneva, Auburn, the whole Finger Lakes region? Are we ready for that influx?
Oh, yeah.
And what are we going to show them?
Exactly.
Hopefully not just a bed,
Right.
and show them the way out. We want to get them here, talk about our communities.
Yeah, I agree. That's been an issue in Seneca Falls for years, where I've seen tourists being here in downtown. They leave unsatisfied.
Yeah.
They have a desire to experience as much as they can, and I think we've fallen short in delivering the experience that they've been looking for. So things like the statue and things like this event and other events that are being created in the Women's Hall of Fame, pushing to revitalize this knitting mill.
Yeah.
All these things are going to play a big role in doing that and satisfying the people that come to our community. So they want to come back and go back home and tell others that they should visit. The word of mouth is the best form of advertising.
Sure is.
Definitely. And we need every resident who greets people on the street to be that brand ambassador and to help people know where to go. And so it's important for people that live in the community to go and visit all these things so they know about them too.
Well, I must tell you, I spent a lot of time going through drive-through down here on Cuga Street quite often, and I go inside the bank quite a bit too. But I must tell you, from Desiree and all of the staff, not to pick on a few names, now that I just did, I might as well throw out a couple. Chris and the teller, they're just fun to work with. They're fun to have, and they're fun to be around. And I always feel better leaving the bank. I mean, always they have a smile on their face. They process your transactions, but they like to bust your chops a little bit too, and I like that. Have a little fun with them, and
Right.
And they give it back to me because I spent a lot of time picking on people going through. But Chris, especially the teller, she's funny, and but it's just it's a good experience, and and that's what you want in your employees, to make it fun.
Yeah.
It's a bank, but it shouldn't be all serious. You
No.
want to handle transactions and but at least have a good time getting there.
Well, they're human beings.
Exactly, and have
And-
some fun with people.
They're
Nobody wants to deal with a robot.
Nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to. We've got to keep it a little bit light.
Yeah,
But when you need somebody to help you out,
bingo.
we
They're
got
there.
it. Yeah,
They're there,
and they've got
that's
the expertise to help them out.
Exactly. Well, of course, Menzo case. And by the way, Katie, I must tell you, as I look at you during this interview, has anyone ever told you look like Tina Fey? Saturday Night Live.
I haven't heard Tina Fey.
I
That's
don't
funny.
know. You think so, Menzo? Let me a little Tino.
I got to see it with the wig on.
All right, well, next time.
You a Saturday Night Live fan?
I am.
All right, check it out, Tina Fey. I mean, serious. I mean, you kind of. I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, who does she look like? Tina
Somebody,
Fey.
right.
Think about it.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. So let's talk about the 19K run again. Let's wrap up our show by saying, you said registrations are open, so they can go online and off they go.
Yes, so there's a 19K and a 5K.
Okay.
They will start at the same time. The 19K course is on the south side. Do you want to talk about the course a little bit?
Yeah.
Well, we talked with the Lot family,
Okay.
where the farm days.
Sure.
That's the starting point for the 19K,
Beautiful.
and they're willing to allow parking and everything. So we truly appreciate the Lot family. They're wonderful community supporters.
Mhm.
We're going to run down there somewhere, cut over to the left, and go around the airport.
Yeah.
Come out by Route 89, cross that, run along the lake. So you'll see the Deerhead Inn, for example,
Mm.
and run up the street, and then run up the NYCC property through their tunnel.
Wow.
Come back out, run their campus a little bit, come out on Route Baird Street,
Bayard Street.
cut off of that, go around by Stanton's home, and then come back up on Baird and run to the Center for Great Women and finish the race. Now, the 5K will start on the NYCC campus. They're going to allow us to park vehicles there as well. Again, this is a community event, and we've
Right.
already got a lot of support. So we're excited about just the opportunity just to run through our town. So all those residents are going to be a little put out, but it's going to be okay. We're
That's
going to
right.
help them out. We've got the police department already on board.
Right.
It's going to be a great weekend. We're just we're hoping to get, as Katie said, about 4,000 runners,
Mm.
and I think that we might blow through that. This is a national race, and a lot of people are interested. And frankly, running for women's rights and
That's great.
talking about it. And even today, there are young women, older women that are dying because they don't have rights.
Mhm.
And this should be the center of the dialogue to protect them and to change that part of the world as well.
Mm.
We can't have women dying just because
Right.
they want to dress differently or they want to vote. They ought to be able to vote. They ought to be able to participate in the same thing that men did. And these are the sentiments that were talked about here in 1848.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. It really is amazing. And
What-
we're just proud as ever of the town and what they're doing to support us in this 19K. It really is important.
And by the way, whether you love her or hate her, Hillary Clinton, who has been in Seneca Falls and one of the more celebrities that's ever visited, of course, Hall of Fame material. She is certainly looks like, unless a miracle occurs, that she will be on the presidential for the amazing. Is it time for a woman to be the president of the United States? We'll have to wait and see. She has a lot of people that love her, and some people are detractors, but it's pretty interesting for me anyways. I was there way back when she came to Seneca Falls originally, and it was quite amazing then. And looks like we're going to have a woman on the presidential ticket. Whether how it all turns out, I don't have no clue. I watch these debates, and I'm more confused than I was before I started watching the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, say what you want about Donald Trump, but he certainly has made this interesting. The only thing I'll say good about Donald Trump is he's using his own money to run.
Yeah.
Of course, when you got $14 billion, I don't think it's an issue.
It's not so much a problem. Well, we're just excited that people like Hillary Clinton,
Right.
the President of the United States, the House Speaker, or at the time Pelosi.
Yep.
There's been more
Bingo.
people coming here. This is a destination.
Oh, I agree.
And it should be the place for dialogue about women's rights. And
Totally
the
agree.
continuing, there's two sentiments I've brought up in the past just recently. The first is with regard to remuneration, equal pay, equal job.
Right.
And the second is lifting them up. These young ladies that we're having schools, lift them up, build up their esteem, let them know they can make a difference in this world, and that the guys come alongside of them. It's not about who's in charge. It's about let's go forward together. Certainly somebody has to lead, but it's okay.
That's right.
Either way, it's okay. We're going to get the job done, and we've got to build up these young ladies. They've got to understand. And hopefully we'll see things like that here in Seneca Falls. We ought to have a program for a women-owned business.
There you go.
And we should have this. We did it through the power of our bank with Cafe 19. That young lady is amazing. Casey, can't say enough about her. She owns that business. She runs that business. And there's very few places that we can say this is women-owned, and we supported it, and we pushed it forward. We've got to be known as the area that does that.
Well
Important
said.
Yeah.
Well, Katie, I got your card. What I'll do is I'll track you down, like say in the April time frame, and we'll get you back in as it gets closer and closer.
That sounds great.
And then we can do a recap on how it's going and what's the stage is set. And
Hey, hopefully we get Catherine here, Catherine Switzer,
there
our
you go.
spokesperson.
We
Yeah,
can maybe work
awesome.
that out. But whatever, we can definitely book a show in the April time frame and further discuss it. And as the build-up gets ready to explode.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
My pleasure. Well, Katie MacIntyre, thank you very much for joining us. And it's good to have you alongside and appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having us today.
Menzo, as usual, good to have you as well.
Hey, Doug, you know it. Anytime.
All right, folks. Speaking of Menzo and Katie, what a great segue. We're speaking about events, and hey, how about the It's a Wonderful Life run, huh? Jeff Rook, one of the main organizers, along with the Korzaneski family, et cetera, who do talk about a crowd. Oh, man, on the bridge, ready to go over that famous bridge. Are you kidding me? It's a Wonderful Life. Jeff Rook will be on the couch next week. This wasn't planning on my part. It just worked out. So we have Menzo and Katie this morning, and we got Jeff Rook talking about It's a Wonderful Life, and what an amazing turnout of people for that event. And he'll talk about where he stands and his committee stands as that gets closer and closer. I believe, Jimmy, it's December 12th.
12th, 14th, 12th?
Yeah, something like that.
12th.
12th of
Yeah,
December.
which is really, 4 weeks now?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Time is flying.
Yeah, it
So-
doesn't feel like winter because of the weather.
That's right. So Jeff will be with us next week. Again, thanks to Katie and Menzo from the Generations Bank for joining us here on the Weber Show. And again, if you'd like to come on our show, we always try to plug our show to have you come on and talk about anything you would like to. It's an open invitation. Just let us know through Jimmy or through myself. If you see me on the street, you've got a cause, you've got a charity you want to run, want to come in and talk about it, we'd love to have you. We'll book you a date as we run out of dates. And by the way, speaking of dates, a very interesting show that I'm looking forward to, December 28th, Jack Stenberg and the likes of Sullivan, my good friend Gary Sullivan, undersheriff, they are leaving office for Seneca County. Obviously, they have decided not to continue. They're going to be phased out at the end of the year. Jack Stenberg, Gary Sullivan, the two main men will be on the couch for a special show on the 28th of December. We know Tim Luce has now been elected the new sheriff, but Stenberg and Sullivan will be here on the 28th of December. They'll talk about their ability to oversee the Seneca County Sheriff's Department. I think it'll be an interesting show. I hope that you mark it down. Take care, everybody. Speaking for Katie MacIntyre, along with Menzo Case and Jimmy, this is the dog saying we'll catch you next week.
FL1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.